Hey, good evening, folks. Welcome to Money. If you guys are watching this, you can do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Tell me what you're paying for gas in the comments. We've been talking a lot about stock lately, but when I created this channel, I wanted to talk about all things money. And we just can't ignore the fact that we are getting killed as far as gas prices. And it is going to have a big impact, and not creating this to be negative. It is what it is. So how is gas affecting where you're at or what's going on in your life? I know here in Pennsylvania it was 3.90. Now it's 4.29. 4.29. And I just don't get it. There is no gas shortage. It always seems to me that gas is manipulated by, honestly, just by people, Wall Street. And I obviously, in this channel, I don't care. We can talk a little bit of politics and what's going on. Obviously, everyone knows what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, and the oil that we're buying and stuff. And they're talking about switching it, but it is costing. I mean, how are you making a life uh, changing decisions as far as where you're going? And I'm going to put a invite in here. You're welcome to in. You have to have your camera on, but you want to talk about gas prices or the economy or how it's affecting you, click that link on it and come in and let's chat. So I'd appreciate it. So there's the link. You're more than welcome to come in and chat, but this is definitely going to hit the consumer hard. And the market was down. Let me see. Today, I think the market was down 800 points. 800. And I called it. Even, I mean, I didn't know this Ukraine thing was going to happen, but I thought the market was going to correct 30% this year and probably end the year down 15%. And for sure, it's looking like we are definitely. I mean, now some of the big, you got Amazon that was down. The Dow Jones was down 797, S&P down 128, and the Nasdaq was down 482. So, but this is definitely going to have a pinch on consumers' wallets. I mean, you're paying, if the average family, it's costing them double for gas. So families are putting out a month just to go to work. So that money's got to come from somewhere. They're not going to spend it maybe going to the movies, out to eat as much. It's bad enough now that food is that much more, that inflation has hit. But even now with the gas, that's we got wage inflation. I know myself, I live here in Pennsylvania, and we're running low on oil. And I don't want to buy another 100 gallons right now because I'm hoping that it will, you know go go down or something. But I don't know. I mean, we I think what I've seen so far is the highest gas prices since 2008, and 4.29 here in my area, in Pennsylvania. And there's plenty of places out there now that are paying $5. I just saw something recently that, just in New Jersey, somebody had posted something. It must be certain exits, because my son was just in Jersey. I think he saw it at 380, 390 a day or two ago. But there's some places that are posting $6. So probably some people are definitely taking advantage. And and it's such a complex issue as far as gas stations, because they don't want to be caught with their pants down, having to, when you get a 5,000 gallon delivery, what happens is you got to pay the sales tax, right then, and you got to pay, so the money that gets, even though you pay it at the pump and they get it back, from what I understand, that's how it's done now. Like, so, if gas is selling, for example, $4, the gas station may be making 50 cents on it. It's not as much as you think. So they got to, at $3.50 times 5,000 gallons. Now all of a sudden the gas goes up 40 cents. And if they're behind the curve, 40 cents, that could be $2,000 more. And they don't have the money to buy the next delivery. So I think that's why they're, And if one gas station, honestly, what happens is I've noticed if one gas station goes 3.99, we're going to go 3. You can't even play that game. Well, let's be 5 cents cheaper. Um, I mean, when it does drop, it always seems to drop a little slower. But there are times that it drops, and they paid a certain price in there, so they're getting, but for all the extra that they're charging. But this is definitely going to have it. I mean, this is going to have an impact on airline stocks. I mean, no one I think saw this impact that we basically had double gas prices over the last year. I mean, I don't know what we were we paying 250 ish, probably about a year and a half ago. In our current administration just won't open up the Keystone Pipeline or do anything to really help the economy which I just don't get. I mean, I know they released 60 million in the reserves, but did it do anything? No. Gas prices still went up, so it didn't help anything to do with lowering the price of gas. But people are paying now more for food. They're paying more for gas and more to heat their house. And this is gonna be recession, and it's gonna happen quick. And the people that are out there kind of, I know because I see it, that they're not willing to take certain jobs for a certain amount of money. You better kind of rethink things. And I think people need to, a lot of things are going to change this year. And Russia, for what they did, they basically have destroyed their economy for probably the next 5 or so years. I mean, nobody there. I mean, the world is so against them right now. They can't. The insurance companies are dropping even for the boats and all that, and can't sell stuff there. There's a lot of those people aren't going to be able to get certain things, and the money value is this is a worldwide problem, and it's not going to be fixed. This is not going to, typically gas goes up in before the summer anyways. We usually seem to peak at around Memorial Day, or it goes up, and then we get a little bit of an adjustment maybe around July 4th, and then Labor Day, and then boom, after that, as the summer season dies down, the gas prices go down. But I've never seen nothing like this before in my life, and I'm sure many of you can agree. And so I'm hoping that you guys can share out in the comments below what you're paying for gas. What do you think about it? And Craig, I can stay on for a while if you're willing to stop in. I have a StreamYard link there. Makes it a little easier to, when you go live, to interact with somebody and kind of chat. I did put the StreamYard link in there if anybody wants to kind of come in and just chat about. The only thing is you got to turn your camera on, so I know who you are. What made me kind of think about it was Casey Rockstar Flipper had posted something that he feels like the gas stations are gouging people. Hey, there we go. There's my buddy Craig.
What's up?
Hey, Craig, how are you? Let me adjust the.
Yeah, I cannot stand that view at all.
No, I think
why they even use it.
No, I don't like that. It's too close, and it makes you look bigger than you are. But hey, I do appreciate you taking the time to hop in here. I don't do many lives. I don't do many lives on this channel. It's always, if anyone doesn't know, Craig is Landshark Picker here, and he has a YouTube channel. I have another YouTube channel called The Traveling Picker Pat D's, and I used to talk about some of these other channel, but it was a little bit, I realized I had to kind of niche it down, and I like talking about money and stocks and stuff like that. And that's why I created this channel to talk over here. But you're from Alabama, right?
Yep. Gas was, I just filled up literally less than an hour ago, and I paid $3.99 a gallon.
Yeah.
Last time I got gas, been about a week, and I think I paid in $3.20, $3.30.
Yeah.
If I remember right, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we have it at $4.29, but we have the second highest tax on gas in the.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Pennsylvania passed it probably about 6 or 7 years ago. I think we pay close to 60, 70 cents per gallon is just in taxes. Yeah. I think California is the highest, but we're, from what I understand, we're the second highest.
And that's the state of Pennsylvania, the whole state.
Yeah, the whole state. Yeah.
Wow. Well, but y'all don't pay sales tax though, right?
Yeah. We pay. 6%.
I heard somebody saying that they were in. Somebody did a video on who it was I was watching. They're in Pennsylvania, reseller, and they said, "Well, I'm in Pennsylvania. I don't pay sales tax."
Well, it's funny that you say that, Craig, because I just looked up something to. I want to be able to sell some things on my website, thetravelingpicker.com, and it's kind of confusing because I'm like, well, when we sell on Amazon and eBay, they collect the sales tax, but if you sell, and from what I just read, is you don't have to pay this or collect sales tax unless you do 100,000. The problem is
really?
when you're doing that, what happens if the information is wrong and then you get audited later and then you're they don't care if you're wrong, but you're going to still have to submit the taxes. And if you're doing even $40,000, that's at $2,400. But
and I think every state is different with that limit. Because I remember reading about that when eBay first started collecting sales tax for you, and paying the states that where you were supposed to, where you collected it from.
Right. Are you? What's your thoughts? I mean, what do you think's gonna? I mean, I think it's gonna be a long summer.
I agree. I try not to get into all the politics, but it's definitely not trending in the right direction.
No, and I'm not here to beat up on any administration. This channel was created really to talk about these things, talk about money and how it's affecting the consumer. And I mean, I know myself, with food inflation, and that was partially being driven by wage inflation because a monster sort of was created with all these stimulus checks and the extra $600 bonus. And then, we came in unprecedented times with COVID and stuff. And we sort of created a nightmare that kind of, if people don't know and they're watching this in the replay, minimum wage federally is $7.25. Now, not a living wage. Typically, I always felt $7.25 was a starting wage for teenagers, college to start. But, obviously you progress and work your way up, and the more responsibility you take, you make more money. But at the end of the day, business ability, Blockbuster Video is not around anymore. But, remember back in the day and those type of jobs, they paid like $6 an hour back then. And, it wasn't, you weren't killing yourself, but it allowed the company went bankrupt and out of business. But with these higher wages now and people can't pay the higher prices for stuff. I don't know how a lot of this stuff is really going to have an impact on business and stuff. And I've noticed in my business right now, it's slower since the checks have died down and, things have changed. The market has been going down, and now everything that honestly could go wrong financially is happening.
Right. Yeah, I just went into my son had baseball. We got done at baseball and came home. My wife texted me or called me, I don't remember which one, said, "Hey, stop by Walmart, grab some chicken." She was cooking dinner tonight. She said, "Get me a thing of chicken breasts."
Right.
And I had to get gas. Went by, was upset that gas had gone up. And I walk in and there was all I could find for chicken in Walmart, which is usually stocked pretty well, was chicken, like chicken wings. It was the chicken section was empty.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that probably wasn't the only thing. I have seen a lot of areas of the grocery store that were empty. People are, I don't know, people are scared. Well, I'm not in a situation where we're in bad weather here.
Well, you get a farmer, and when they're out having to fuel up their tractors and pay more for natural gas and stuff like that. Hold on, we have a Russian bot now. So
you can turn on your live stream. You can make it where only subscribers can comment.
Yeah, I've seen that already. But what happens is because this channel is so small, only has about 336 subscribers. Now I can make it where it's like 5 minutes, but I'm trying to grow the channel and encourage people to come.
Right.
I don't really do hangouts, but I do want to talk about. I want to this channel talk about money, and whether it's
Right.
credit card debt, real estate, stocks, gas prices, consumer, and it's not to create negative talk. It's really to talk about, just like if you were calling into Dave Ramsey and talking about your bills and what's going on, and
Right.
really have some real discussions. And a lot of people, a lot of money discussion is very taboo, even among friends or family. I mean, how many people ever knew what, like, their dad made back in the day?
I,
you know
I don't have a clue.
yeah, a lot
I,
of times.
my dad was a pharmacist. I grew up in a not overly wealthy, but we were pretty well off, you know.
Right.
And I, when I first got married, I was making like $13,000 a year with one child and a
Yeah.
wife that didn't work.
Yeah,
So
which is about $250 a week.
it wasn't much. You know,
Right.
we were, you know, hand to foot pretty much at that point. But I got to the point where I became relatively successful salary wise, and my mom asked me one day what I made, and she couldn't believe it. And that's without a degree or anything, you know.
When me and my wife were in our 20s, and but jobs were $5. I remember even delivering
Yeah,
pizza for 450 and five, but we made it work. And I think we've kind of gotten a little spoiled that we need to replace that phone every 6 months. and
yeah,
and, and but I do remember there for a while. I think when we I don't know if the Gulf War changed that or something like that. That really was the wake up call. But I remember for a while. I remember for a while there, one time we paid $1 for gas. You
I,
know, it
I remember it was back in I graduated high school in 1988. I remember in the late 80s, early 90s, it was less than $1 a gallon. I remember the 98, 97, 90 something cents a gallon.
Yeah.
You know,
Let me turn. You know what I'm going to do real quick. Are people talking about? Are you notice that people are talking about gas prices down there, Craig?
um,
Like,
not really. I mean, I really I really hadn't paid attention to it until I had to fill up.
yeah.
I mean, it was
Are
high,
you
it was higher than normal last week when I filled up, but
are you
it
making
wasn't so high where I was like, oh my gosh, it just went up 30, 40 cents, you know?
yeah? Are you making conscious decisions to kind of change driving?
Try, yes. Am I
Yeah.
successful at it? No.
Yeah. I
My
mean,
son, like I said earlier, my son plays baseball and it's a 20-minute drive and he has practice 3 or 4 days a week.
right.
But I do drive a little 6-cylinder Toyota that gets pretty good gas mileage, you know? I'm not driving a Crown Vic, you know? But,
Yeah.
I,
Okay. So what I'm going to do is now subscribers for 5 minutes. There we go.
I think that helps with the bots because I don't think those, it's a lot of it's definitely bots. It's not somebody trying to
No, no, it's
be a
definitely
troll.
bot.
It's bots, and I think that helps control it.
Yeah, I think it's just people just trying to someone trying to sabotage. Honestly, they have something against Google, and they just want to just be destructive for that. Like, some people have nothing better to do. You
Well,
know.
talking about minimum wage and all like that you were talking about earlier. I worked for Amazon for a couple of years recently, and their minimum wage for just a telephone agent, no experience, no anything, I made $15 an hour.
I worked for them for $12.50 about 7 years ago.
Oh wow.
I used to be in the restaurant business, and after I would leave the restaurant 8 o'clock at night, I was working till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. The problem is, honestly, you worked for the money. I mean, it
Right. Oh
wasn't,
yeah.
yeah, physically wise. I mean, you had to pull 240 units per hour. I was doing 260, but I honestly would have worked for $1 less an hour if it was a little bit easier of a I mean, it was like get to the bathroom and get back. I mean, it was like 2 minutes. You
Oh
felt
yeah.
like, I
Oh,
mean, I
oh, oh
understand it, because people take advantage of it and stuff like
right.
that.
I,
Uh,
that was definitely a different. I wasn't working in the warehouse. Obviously, you're talking about in a fulfillment
yeah,
center or something like that. Um, I've heard a lot of people talking about that, but even I was just on the phone, answering the phone, 8 hours a day, sitting here, right here. The phone would ring. I would help somebody, but it was not the experience that I expected. You'd think Amazon would be a little bit better experience. They could care less about you. They really could. as
Yeah,
far
it's
as
just
employee.
you're just a number, and well, they were even encouraging people to kind of leave by paying for some of their education to leave and stuff like that. Which, but what a trend that I've noticed with Amazon is now. Back then, you had to show proof of a diploma, a GED. There were times that people left the company because there was issues with call. So now I mean, I even saw this 2, 3 years ago. No GED required. They pretty much walk, hire on the spot,
Right.
because they were really burning through too many people on a local level that, if the talent pool for, Amazon at 4 warehouses and you need approximately 1,000 employees, and you've cycled through 12,000 in 3 or 4 years, and the population is only, let's say, 100. I mean, you basically 10% of the population has pretty much worked at the company.
One thing is very odd, and I didn't realize that this even existed until someone I met when I worked at Amazon was a coworker. Said they have a situation, they call it the offer. After you've been there a certain period of time, and it's not like after you've been there 5 or 10 years, they will give you a certain amount of money to go away and never come back.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I
it's
don't
not a
know.
huge amount. It's a couple of thousand, which makes me think, if I'm good enough for you to hire and you're going to offer me a job, wouldn't you want to develop me as an employee and hold me on? That's you said earlier, your name, rank, and serial number. I think
Yeah.
that's about all it is. You're just
Now
a robot getting a job done.
I heard they're not doing those even types of things because they there isn't enough. I mean, a lot of Chewy and a lot of other companies came along. A lot of warehouses popped up, especially and even in our area, that
Right.
it's so competitive. I actually, I wouldn't mind, but I've have a health condition that I have to watch with my heart, and I can't. I've been told if I work too much in a warehouse, I'd have to get a stent, and I just can't do that. And
You got a heart. I never would. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding,
that's right.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm not paying for your gas.
That's right. Well, you paid for almost a gallon and a half last night, maybe.
Yeah, well, I gave you a super chat when you were
And I
alive.
appreciate it. You didn't have to do that. I know
You
you're
guys,
very, very giving, and I appreciate it.
I try to be. I try to support other people on YouTube. I mean, there's not a whole lot of money doing it when you're a small channel and stuff. But I really like to one day get this to a point where I can do 2 shows a month, and maybe people could drop in or even call in and say, "Hey, Pat D's Money Me, got a question," and sort of like they do with Dave Ramsey, and share my. It's just that connection to kind of have regular people that aren't I don't want to have a service where there's channels out there like if you don't pay $5 or $10, you can't participate in the chat or nothing. I mean,
Right.
it's a subscription based model that they're doing, and I don't want to create that. Oh, you
That's
get
just. I'm sorry. My phone dinging. My brother texted me.
say what you pay for gas today.
Yeah, exactly. He said, Don't go to Pennsylvania. You'll have to pay $6 a gallon."
I was going to travel maybe down. We're going to Florida in October for sure, but I was going to maybe take a trip down for the reselling business that I have in May, and I'm really contemplating it now. I was going to meet up with T in Long Island, and I talked to her yesterday and said, "Hey, I'm not going to make an unnecessary trip, so
Right.
I'm really going to be honest. You're losing $50 more a week just in filling up your gas, and
And if regular gas has gone up, I'm sure diesel is right behind it.
oh
You
yeah,
know, and jet fuel and all. It's
the
all
oil typically is the cost of unleaded minus the tax.
right.
That's how that works out. That's why you can't if you get caught driving with because diesel and number two fuel is the same. The number
Right.
two dyed red to put in your tank. If you get caught like in your
Oh,
truck,
that like the off-road diesel that you're
yeah,
supposed to use in the farm equipment.
yeah, or in your in your oil tank at the house. You know,
Oh,
if
okay, gotcha. Like
right,
heating oil.
right, exactly. But it's diesel. But the thing is, what some people try to do. I mean, when you fill up, I don't drive truck, but when I hear the stories of like, wow, like I was just saw something recently where a truck driver was kind of, it was actually on TikTok. A guy was showing how much money he made delivering, and the fee was close to $5,000 to deliver something across like 5 or 6 states, but it was $2,000 in diesel.
Wow.
So I mean, if you took off that tax, it might be $300 or $400. So that's where if you bought that off-road, number two fuel, you would
Right.
save that. But then there's fines by doing that.
But I think it burns differently, doesn't it? The emissions coming off.
I don't know.
I couldn't tell. Some part of my mind just tells me that. I'm not
Honestly,
sure.
I think it's just dyed red. That's the difference. Because I can go right now, if I had in other words, if I have a gallon of diesel, I can pour it in the oil and it'll burn through the furnace.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
I remember back in the day when I was in the restaurant business, we had people. Maybe that'll start getting busy again too, as they were recycling the fryer oil.
Oh yeah.
And they were burning that in the garages. But there's a process to doing that because you have to basically take it back to its purity.
Biodiesel.
Yeah, but even then, that stuff is expensive. Fryer oil typically goes for those are typically 5 gallons. I'm gonna be looking. Those typically used to go for $17-$20. Now, just at the restaurant store, they're $44.
Wow.
For just one. So there's a lot of things that are.
With gas going like it is, I wonder if we'll see a trickle down effect of that cost impact, that increase in price.
Oh, for sure.
Trickling down to chicken in Walmart.
They have to.
I mean, because that's part of cost of goods.
If that truck coming to the store is costing $300 and now it's costing $500 or $600, they can only absorb so much. I mean,
right.
A lot of times the delivery will it goes up 20, 30 cents. But when you're getting $1.50 increase, Jason, hey, thanks for stopping by. South Jersey is $4.27 right now.
Wow.
Appreciate stopping by, Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Welcome to Money and Me, and thanks for subscribing. I know if you're in here, you've subscribed, so I appreciate it. This is my friend Craig. My name is Pat Dees, and this is Money Me, and we're talking today. We're talking about business and the price of gas and really how it's affecting things, and it's definitely going to have an impact. I mean, what do you? My lights are flickering. What the hell's going on? Are we getting bad weather here?
Your diesel tank is running low.
My oil tank is low. I have to. I looked at it last night, and ridiculous. I'm like, the dreaded but I could take off the top. So what I may do is I have to make a choice. A lot of times what happens is you have to buy 100 or 150 gallons at a time.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I mean that's $400 to $600, and if I lose you, Craig, it's because the power went out. I don't know why the lights are flickering, but
yeah, we're pretty lucky. We're an all electric neighborhood. How the neighborhood was built in the mid '90s, but just it's all split the heat pump, so it's all no gas, no natural gas, no LP, anything. It's all just heat pump and all that. I've got a friend that has like a natural gas tank to feed like their gas logs.
Well, you mean he's got a propane tank, or
he's got a propane tank, but
yeah. Which propane, from what I understand, is a byproduct of natural gas and oil. But there's an overabundance of propane, and even for a while there, I remember. I mean, they couldn't give it away. I mean, you could buy that stuff for 50 cents a gallon.
Right.
I knew
a lot of our utility companies have had the natural gas cars and trucks. That would scare me. But
that would scare you, natural gas?
Well, I'm not really scaring me, but just not having the infrastructure of kind of like Tesla and the whole electric car thing. They've strategically placed chargers around. You're not supposed to. You can't go more than 300 miles without finding one. If I had a natural gas car or truck, whatever, I'd be worried that how many places can I pull up and fill up with natural gas versus a gas station,
Yeah. Yeah, there's not as many. It seems like the Mr. Obvious, or is it from Oregon, $4.58. It seems the people that use natural gas are more of your like your buses, your city buses, your garbage trucks, and things like that, where a lot of people don't realize even they can process the gases coming off the landfill. So when the garbage trucks are filled up with that stuff, they have their own station there and their own natural resource to obviously they had to make an investment to do that, but when you're on the road as much as they are in those big trucks, I mean,
Right.
they might only be getting what 8-10 miles to the gallon.
Right.
And I'm not even sure. It makes me kind of wonder how far a garbage truck can go on natural gas. I mean, I know there's a lot of buses, but buses kind of probably in cities stay within a 5 mile area that if they have to, it's like they're close by if they have to kind of fill up again.
Right.
You know, electric cars and Tesla has done amazing, but it's been subsidized by the
The
government.
government. Yeah.
Yeah, with a lot of incentives to, um, but gas is never subsidized. We never get like unless you're in Alaska and they get like special checks. There's always like everybody who lives in Alaska gets like a dividend check of like a couple hundred to like $1,000 a year for
Right.
I don't know what the last one was, but I don't know if you ever heard that before or not.
I think the government is still. I don't know if they are.
Yeah,
I
I'm
had
gonna
a
look
friend
it up.
that bought a Tesla recently, a couple of months ago, and I know
Oh
they were
yeah,
still giving
Tesla for
out some kind
sure.
of subsidy check or something to
Yeah.
go that route. They're trying to push people. And I don't know if it's for efficiency purposes or for emissions or what, because even if you make energy efficient changes to your house, you get tax breaks.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had a guy call me up today. I haven't talked to him in a year and a half, and he's like, Patrick. I'm like, yeah. And he's an 89-year-old guy, and he goes,
Oh,
you're good with the computer and stuff. I'm like, yeah, Charlie. What do you want? And he goes, could you look for solar panels? So I'm looking them up, and roughly with the $4,000 subsidy that they give, it's roughly about $11,000 to do solar panels. And I
wow,
said to him, Charlie, I said, if you're how much you paying? About $250 a month. He said. I said it will take you 4 or 5 years. I said, if you were living in the house for 25 years, I could see you doing it. But if at 89 years old, how much life do you have left? It's going to take you 4 or 5 years to just recoup that back. But I just looked up the permanent fund dividend. The permanent fund dividend in Alaska is $1,114.
wow,
So that's what I guess every citizen gets in Alaska. I don't know how many people live in Alaska, but
never
you
heard
know,
that.
oh, Jason, there is an electric tractor trailer from Freightliner that's pulling race car trailer for Penske. Oh, okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And those motors have really come a long way. That the electric motors that they're using for these EVs, really cool.
Yeah, I never kind of understood why. I mean, they always said the population in Alaska is 732,000 people, which is, I mean, in Philadelphia there's 1.5 million. So Alaska, as big as it is, doesn't have a huge population. But they say that the electric car actually was invented a long time ago, but really with the large companies and OPEC and everything, and they
Right.
pretty much squashed it. That they want people having electric, that it was all gas engines. But I always wondered why they didn't come up with technology that sort of was like magnet driven. I mean, I'm not a expert on. I'm not a mechanic or nothing, but that it didn't create some sort of. I mean, Tesla's got it, I guess, figured out now, and General Motors and all that are. But hey, electric cars still got to burn something. Everybody
Right.
thinks it's always 100% clean. It's not. I mean, they're powered by coal, power plants, and a lot of the power plants even convert it from coal to natural gas. And where I live in
Right.
Pennsylvania, natural gas was a big thing for the last 15 years, even with parts of New York. But now with Biden in there, they don't really want natural gas,
Hmm. But
which I
that's it. Like you said earlier, though, there's an abundant supply of it.
yeah. Oh yeah, they say just in Pennsylvania there's enough for 80 to 100 years, and honestly, I think for our economy to remain good for the long term, we need to become more self sufficient.
Right.
And I hear people complaining, in where I live about 20 minutes east of Scranton, Pennsylvania, but I'm originally from the Lehigh Valley area, and there's a lot of warehouses that have been built probably within about 2 hours. And one thing that COVID proved, that our supply chain is a mess.
Yeah.
We need to, as the population grows, and honestly, I think the population is going to probably be growing in the next 30 years, probably about 50 million people. I mean, just with births and with immigration and people, there's people coming from all over the world, and we need to be more self sufficient. That we're not relying on China and waiting on stuff.
But
And
I think we've kind of brought that on ourselves to some respect. You know, we think, hey, if we get it from China, just using something that's manufactured in China. I don't know what to use an
oh yeah,
example. You buy something that says made in China. You buy something at Walmart that says made in China. It's
we
made
want
in China and it's sitting in Walmart because it's cheaper.
it's cheap, right?
It's cheaper than making it here.
Right.
But I think the same thing with some industries' labor force. You know, stuff that you can get done online. That I'm in the IT industry. A lot of companies will farm out work to people in other countries just because they can pay pennies.
Right.
Pennies on the dollar.
Well, and that's where the companies are worried about the bottom line. But then look what I mean. I heard companies like there was a guy, and it made me think because everybody was like up in arms about the toilet paper issue. And anyone who follows me, I used to do Instacart, and I was shopping for other people, and it was an issue that a lot of like your big companies that were set up to make toilet paper for the commercial or the restaurant industry only could make those large rolls, and
Right.
they weren't set up to make smaller rolls. And this guy found a machine or something like that where he could make smaller, and he was selling it over to Sweden, and said companies weren't prepared. And one thing with technology that has really changed the last really 30 or 40 years, let's say a person could a person maybe in an 8-hour shift could produce 500 of something widgets
Right.
and now you can have a guy run a machine that produce 3-4 times that. So even though our wages are higher, in using that technology to I worked in a food manufacturing company called Conagra, and we used to manufacture flour, and we would bag it up and stuff like that. And
Right.
as I was leaving the company, they were installing a automatic palletizer.
Yep.
So this was a machine that automatically could do the job. And then it's not that somebody lost their job because they put them somewhere else where
Just
you know
made it more efficient.
right, instead of producing 5,000 bags per 8-hour shift, now you could do 6,500. So you know China people are only going to sit by so long and live on poverty wages. I mean, their wages are always going to be lower, I think, than ours, but eventually it's going to get to the point with the cost of shipping and taxes and everything else that there's some companies that actually said, yeah, wages may be lower, but until you pay the cargo. I mean, I was reading stories that that used to be like $4,000 to $7,000 for one of those containers. Now it's $25,000 for one
Wow.
of those containers. So that savings in inflation is now being lost in other ways, and you're at the mercy. If we have I mean, the perfect example, what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. If we don't kind of play ball with China, we're at the mercy of them. Oh well, we're not going to ship you this. We're not going to and then what? you know
Right.
um, and as our population increases over the next 30 years, there's obviously going to be more demand for things, consumables and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't understand, like here in Pennsylvania, because it is cheaper than New Jersey, Connecticut, New York. It's keeping the stuff closer, let's say within an hour, instead of going all the way up through Connecticut. You get on 95 and you go over the George Washington Bridge in New York. You get $40 in tolls. It's taking you 4 hours. Where a lot
Wow.
of this, here in Pennsylvania, they could be within an hour and a half of a lot of major. It's cheaper in the tractor trailer, less tolls, and they're setting up for the future.
Right.
I actually, Craig, wish I was younger because I think the opportunity, if you're willing to work and do things, I think there's a need for a lot, and I hope kind of people change their attitudes that uh, um, there's a lot of good companies now willing to pay.
Right.
I remember when I worked for ConAgra, it was a union shop, and it was tough to get them to give you 10, 12. Now, a lot of these type jobs where you may have to, um, things are, and I know some people say, "Oh, I don't want to kill myself, my back," and this, but they're making technology that, years ago you would throw, let's say, um, stuff on a cart and have to wheel it. Now they have conveyor belts to take it farther into the tractor trailer, and
Right.
uh, uh,
I used to work talking about these manufacturing places. It's very interesting how automated all that is. I used to work for a software company that had software inside the kind of plants you're talking about,
uh-huh,
manufacturing industry, stuff like that. And one of our customers was a tobacco manufacturer. They would bring they would truck in the tobacco from the fields. It was a cigarette plant pretty much. And the tobacco would come in, hands touched it to get it off the truck and load it on a conveyor belt. Everything else was automated. Then at the end of the process, they picked it back up and put it back on the truck to load it. It was amazing how automated everything. And that was just one example. Every plant that I went to was that way.
right,
You know, one part of that process, and it really amazed me. I always got tours of these places, and it was really cool. It would take by the time they got the cigarettes into the pack, they would be standing up on their side, long ways, and it had a little chute, and it would go by in the matter of like half a second. It would take a picture of that pack of cigarettes, knowing what brand it was, and if the label on it, the way it was printed, was aligned correctly. In a matter of seconds, one right behind it, in a matter of less than a second, it could take a picture of it, compare it, and dump it right there at the thing, and drop it into a reject pile.
right. And I'm
Just
sure,
like bah, 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 bah.
and I'm sure it probably even had some sort of magnet that, God forbid, if a metal chip got in there or something, like, because when I worked at I actually worked. I forgot about it, but I actually worked one summer at a Coca-Cola bottling plant, and
I bet that flies
oh
processing
yeah,
wise.
and the sanitizing guy. So when it got shut down at the end, everything had to get sanitized and cleaned, and we would hook up. But it was nothing for one employee to run that and make 1,200 cases per shift.
Wow.
You know, but I'm hoping that we don't. Where's the end in sight for gas prices?
Is there one? You know?
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about, crazy. I follow, I follow the market, and I follow Twitter and stuff like that, and people are throwing out, could it go to $300? It's just crazy, and a lot of this money. Saudi Arabia, some of these big countries that aren't our friends, are cashing in off our backs in the world.
Right. Right.
And, you got a lot of money, and a lot of people are gonna, they're just not gonna have the money to buy other things.
Yep. I think it's going to have a pretty big impact. Like we were talking earlier with the price of items, you're going to see more people working from home. We're already seeing it already because of the pandemic.
Right.
Is that going to increase is that going to slow down companies bringing people back into the office potentially?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's going to have, if it continues to increase, if we see, $4.50, $5 a gallon. When I say that, I'm not in a California or something like that. It's already that high anyway.
Yeah, it's already that high, and I don't know what oil finished at today, but places aren't waiting anymore as far as upping the prices. Jason said, I'm not sure what he means by that. Get anymore? It's scary.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, Jason, if you want to clarify that. So, you just get home from work, Craig?
No, I don't go to work. I sit right here. This is
you still work from home?
I
Then?
still work from home. Yeah, it's
okay.
nice. The company I work for is based out of Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Actually, not D.C. They're right outside of in Virginia, but it's when I went up there about a month ago, and we ate dinner in Washington. I stayed in Washington, but rode out to. It's about a 35-minute drive out. So
I mean, I remember when we were younger hearing stories of the. That's why I say there's no shortage hearing stories of rationing. Like, I mean, could you imagine, your license getting scanned and you can only buy 20 gallons a week. I mean, we're not at that stage, so it's just kind of like we're getting gouged as far as the price of, you
well,
know.
but talking about the price of gas, it doesn't matter what it goes to. People are going to buy it. It's a
Well, they have no
necessity,
choice. You got to go to work.
right?
Yeah, I mean, but they are going to curtail a lot of traveling and a lot of. I mean, the airlines can't eat that. I mean, we're even planning. My son and I'm going to drive down, but my son and wife want to fly down to Florida. And when we had looked at the prices about 2 months ago, it was going to be about $1,200-$1,300.
Right.
It could be now. I mean, to the point where, geez, I mean, $1,600, $1,800.
Airlines are going to start imposing a fuel surcharge or something. I think they've done stuff like that in the past.
Yeah, I mean, they're at a point no choice. So
it's all going to trickle down.
right.
These companies aren't just going to eat the cost. I
Right.
don't think.
Well, hey Craig, I'm going to cut it there. I do appreciate you stopping in,
Yeah,
and anybody who's watching this on the replay, do me a favor, comment below what you're paying for gas in your state, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. The channel's Money Me. My name is Pat Dees. This is Craig Landshark Picker. You can check out his channel. He does review videos on technology and does reselling, so you could check him out. I'd greatly appreciate it. So thanks for the people that did stop in and join us. I know it's kind of been bouncing between 2 and 6 back and forth, and it's always hard when you're a smaller YouTuber because there's so many channels to kind of get it out there. But if you guys subscribe and more people watch it, the channel will grow. So thanks, Craig.
no problem.